Well, good afternoon, everyone. Introductions were made. Neil Adams with the Bureau of Innovative Project Delivery at IDOT. It's going to be two sessions here. The first one's going to be an update to what we presented last year about our overall program for alternative contracting. We're going to give a brief synopsis on that and where we are at project-wise. So we've issued some notice of intents lately. We have a live procurement on another project, and so that's the panel here that you have today. The second session will be regarding our new program. It's called the Off-System Bridge Structures Bundling Program. We've just kick-started that, and we've been doing the planning associated with that. So we've been touching base with all the counties throughout the state on local structures. So that's the second part of this presentation. All right, so our overall program provides an the legislation came about, and so we, over the past 3 years, I believe, we have been building our program regarding alternative contracting. So we have, our first order of business was creating a manual and guidelines associated with each delivery method. We also went through the administrative rules process with JCAR. And then we started building what are those potential projects that could fit into our innovative program. And so we'll go through that accordingly here in these slides. So the legislation came through in June 2022 and gives authority not only to IDOT but also the tollway for the delivery methods of CMGC, so construction manager, general contractor, progressive design build, and design build. And later in the presentation we'll go into the differences between each of those delivery methods. So some of the requirements of the legislation, as you can read here, not to exceed a maximum of $400 million over the 5-year MIP period. It allows for 2 CMGC projects per year. DBE requirements meet or exceed current requirements. We have to establish written determinations to ensure that we're doing our due diligence to analyze these projects accordingly. We have to do written determinations that are signed off by our Chief Procurement Office, our Bureau Chief of Innovative Project Delivery. So those are posted on our website, and we'll show you where our IPD web page is. We have to do annual reports to the General Assembly, and our IPD program is exempt from the Public Contract Fraud Act. This is a very old legislation, but with these delivery methods, the Public Contract Fraud Act kind of limits, in a sense, what you're trying to accomplish with innovative project delivery. Okay, so we are partnering a lot with our Office of Business and Workforce Diversity with regard to these alternative contracting methods. We've done a lot of outreach not only to general industry but DBE industry as well. We have a slew of information on our IPD webpage, and we're going to be going through some of the roles that are associated with these alternative contracting and what are the opportunities that where people can, if you have interest, get involved with. As I mentioned, we established the manual and guidelines. They are in draft format still, and they'll continue to be in draft format as we deliver these projects. There may be adjustments that we will need to make accordingly as we go through projects themselves. So what do the manual and guidelines do? They provide guidance on development, procurement, implementation, and administration. They establish procurement processes and procedures to ensure transparency and efficiency. And 3, they streamline and standardize the overall development of a project utilizing best industry practices. Not only just in our state, but states throughout the United States. It is broken out into various chapters. We have separate manual and guidelines for each delivery method, and you can take a look at those accordingly on our website. Shane's cue, and we'll go through a few slides, and then our consultants will do the rest.
Thank you. So good afternoon. I need no introduction because I'm going to tell you what the opportunities are within the program and where to find that advertisement at. So the first thing is I want to touch on is the owner's representatives. There's 4 roles that are available here. The first role is a procurement engineer, and they're going to be responsible for the procurement documents. In other words, they're going to draft the RFQ, which is a request for qualification. They're also going to draft is the engineer of record. The engineer of record is the role that's going to pick up and complete phase 1, take it through phase 2, and take it to final design. They will develop the plans and specifications for the project and take it to construction. The EOR is unique because it's only going to apply to the CNGC delivery method. None of the other delivery methods utilize the EOR. And the EOR is the one that signs off on the plans and the engineer of record for the project. Concrete, other things that will fluctuate, and make sure that with the market that they're going to be general and customary pricing, so you know you're getting a good deal. The construction oversight team, just like it sounds, they're going to enter the arena at the construction point once the contracts are signed. Their purpose is to review the construction process and make sure that you're getting what is in the contract. In other words, you're getting what you paid for. So these 4 roles are advertised on the Professional Transportation Bulletin. And 2 of these roles are already in place with IPD under a master contract. So the PC and the ICE are already under master contract with IPD and provided to the districts through the IPD. The other 2 roles, the EOR and COT, are provided or advertised by the district themselves. So the districts will procure the EOR and COT. The other thing I wanted to touch on was the 2-step procurement process. This is advertised on the procurement office website. So if you go to their website, at the very bottom, there's a new section that's been there for about a year. Other documentation relevant to the projects. So the first step in the procurement process is the RFQ. The RFQ, think about this as a current past looking document. This is where you're going to talk about your key staff, their qualifications, what the firm qualifications are, the performance, the ability to do the job. Once the RFQ is submitted, it's going to be taken and evaluated by committee. The committee will evaluate that and shorten the list to a number of 2 to 5 proposals. That's required by legislation, a minimum of 2, maximum of 5. CVRP will be evaluated by committee. And once that committee responds or evaluates those IPD, they will make the selection based on best value. And I want to highlight best value because it's not necessarily price. It's whether they bring it to the department, whether they bring it in value to the project. Maybe it's scheduling, maybe it's something else that they brought. So as I mentioned, the last two, the owner's representative, the PCE, procurement engineer, and the independent cost estimator, are the two that are under MAP.
Thank you, Shane. All right, so the fun part, the projects. So as both Shane and Neil have mentioned, we have gone through the process over the last year or so to get projects added to the program. So as you can see here, we do have 3 districts that are currently participating in the Innovative Project Delivery Program. For District 1, we have 2 projects. So the I-290 Des Plaines River to Austin Boulevard Drainage Improvement Project. That one has been identified as a CMGC project and is currently in procurement. For the second one on the list here, we have a district-wide ADA replacement and pedestrian signal project. That one has been identified as a design build. In District 3, we have 2 projects here listed. These are actually going to be a bridge bundle project, so they will be bundled together. That's the US 34 over Little Indian Creek and the US 52 over the Fox River Bridge. Both of those are bridge replacement projects. The US 34 job is actually an emergency bridge replacement. Work was done on that. We can get into that here in a little bit. For District 8, there are 3 projects that are currently identified. One of them is in the program. The other 2 are potential candidates for delivery in the future. The first one is Illinois 15/4. That's over the Kaskaskia River, and it has been identified as a CMGC project. The other 2, the I-55 Mississippi River to I-64 interchange, that is a candidate project. It includes bridge replacement, some deck overlays, and some other work along that route. And then we've got the I-270 from Illinois 111 to I-55, I-70. Again, a candidate project, includes some bridge work as well as some pavement repairs. For those of you that were taking pictures, this is also up on the IDOT IPD website with more detail about all those projects as well as any other additional candidates. All right, so that first one, the I-290 drainage project. So a little bit of information, as you can see here up on the screen, we got a picture. It's largely a tunneling job. There will be a supplemental storm sewer be constructed as part of that project. Very excited next door. With that, the estimated construction cost for this project is about $300 million. As I mentioned before, we had gone through some of the efforts here over basically starting last December. We had an industry forum. We did have 54 attendees at that forum. With that, there were more than 39 companies represented, and we had 6 one-on-one meetings before we actually started the procurement for that project. This is the work that's been done to date. As noted, we are in that RFQ stage. So while I would love to share more information about the project, I can't at this point because we are in an active procurement. But just know that that RFQ has been issued. If you are interested in taking part in this project, now's the time. The next steps here are going to be that due date we have coming up for SOQs. That's March 25th. And then following that, we will have shortlisting and the issuance of the RFP document or the request for proposals. As of right now, the teams that have been engaged on this, so we do have a corridor manager that is overseeing the greater I-290 project. This drainage project is just a component of the larger program. We have an engineer of record who has been selected and is actively working. broken into, or I guess some of the data on this, there's about 616 ADA corners that are included, and that's upgrades to about 63 signalized intersections. Again, just to bring everything into compliance with that ADA Act. Where we're at right now, so we do have an industry forum coming up. That's March 10th. That's going to be held at the NIU Naperville Conference Center. Following that, we are anticipating issuing an RFQ sometime in April. Any information that you're looking for is posted up on the website. So there is an NOI out there, information about the upcoming industry forum as well. So again, some opportunities that are out there for this job. So we do have the COT that was recently advertised on PTB 215. If you didn't catch it, apologies that PTB was already due. But we will have opportunities for that design builder team coming out here soon. And again, design build includes an engineer on that team as well as the contractor. So depending on what camp you're in, keep an eye out for that opportunity. All right, so the next project here is that bridge bundle, so US 52 and the US 34 job. So the picture's up here on the screen. You can see on the one half is the first project, so that's US 52 over the Fox River. The one to the right of the screen is US 34 over Little Indian Creek. So talking about US 34, that is an emergency bridge repair project. That bridge was closed at one time a few years back. They made some emergency repairs to shore it up. So it is currently open to traffic, but both of those bridges are load posted at this time. Estimated construction cost for these jobs is about $10.5 million. We did have an industry forum earlier this week. I recognize some faces in this room from that meeting. I said 30 plus attendees. We had more people show up on site. It ended up being about 65 people attending that meeting. We had definitely more than 20 companies represented, and after that we had 6 one-on-one meetings that we held with design build teams to discuss the project. So should really take that box off. Again, we just had that meeting, so that industry forum was held in Salmonon. Our next steps on this one is going to be the release of the request for qualifications, and that'll be coming up here in the next month. So other roles that are out there as opportunities, again, that construction oversight team was advertised on this last bulletin, the PTB 215. But again, that design builder role, which includes the engineer and contractor, will be out for advertisement here soon. All right, and the last one that we'll talk about today is the Illinois 15-4 over the Kaskaskia River. As you can see on the screen, it is a truss bridge. It has reached its service life, and so they're looking to fully replace that bridge on a new alignment. The estimated construction cost for it is $62 million. Opportunities for this one. So the engineer of record was already advertised and selected. That was on PTB 213. Those negotiations are ongoing, but we will see upcoming opportunities for the construction oversight team. That'll be coming up on an upcoming PTB. And then we've got the CMGC procurement that will also be upcoming for the contractor side. All right, so to wrap it up with how do you stay connected with all the activities, because we talked about a lot of things that are going to be happening here in the next, about 6 months to a year. We do have the website, so if, for those of you taking photos, this QR code should take you to the website. This is where you can find anything related to IPD, all the projects that are posted, information about the program and updates, new candidate projects that are coming up on the list. And then if you would like to take a look at the information that's been posted to date, so anything that's a notice of intent, an NOI, an RFI, RFQ, RFPs, they're all posted on this procurement, IPD procurement page. This is what Neil was talking about earlier. For most of you that are on the contractor side, you're used to finding this page for the transportation bulletin. Just scroll down the page, you'll find the IPD section. And then lastly, if you'd like to get information direct to your email, you can subscribe. So we do have an IPD listserv where you can get those push notifications about all the upcoming activities, any of the procurements that are coming out, those industry forums and such. So feel free to stay connected with us.
So, Bill Fry with Associated General Contractors. So, refresh my memory on a couple things.
Sure.
All the innovative project delivery comes through PTBs, right?
So the question being so the consultant role, such as the EOR and stuff like that, comes through the PTB. So your traditional consultant roles will still stay on procurement bulletins, except for in the case of design build teams. Obviously, you're going to pair up with a contractor. That's something that is done in the IPD bulletin, where those contract representatives are found. Does that answer your question? Or is it-
Yes, and then the second question is, back on the original legislation, I know there was a lot of talk between the contractor associations and the consultant associations on who the lead was, who had the risk, and all that stuff.
Sure.
So when we're looking at CMGC, it kind of sounds like contractor. I mean, there's truly a lead in these endeavors, right?
Yes.
And so on both sides with CMGC and design build, how do you see who the lead is or isn't the lead?
So CMGC is a contractor role. That's really what it's meant to be, right? Construction manager, general contractor. The idea behind the CMGC methodology is to bring the contractor in to work with the designer and the department during kind of that formation of what it's going to look like. So they're going to have input with means and methods and stuff like that. And if you look at that first project that's out there, which is a drainage tunneling project, we do a lot of drainage tunneling as IDOT here in Illinois, so we kind of need that expertise. So that's why it's a good candidate for that. When we get into design build or progressive design build, the teams could either be led by a designer or a contractor. There are certain self-performance requirements that will play into that, but typically they're contractor-led because they're best absorbed to kind of handle the bonding and the capacity for that. So typically contractor-led as well. But we have seen a number of designers that lead their own teams. Okay, that's your
Last question. Clearly, you're bumping up against the 400 million.
It didn't take long, no.
So there's IDOT-led legislation to raise that to 20% of the annual program?
That is my understanding. So remember, I am a consultant. I do not represent the opinion of IDOT here, so I
There's one.
Well, the 20% is the authority for the tollway, so 20% was based on the tollway's budget. Ours is that the 400,000.
Right, if you go to IDOT, if that's the legislation passing now, you're running the way published $5 billion program. There's $1 billion. Is that inside of the 5-year program, or are you allowed to run $1 billion a year in innovative project delivery?
We are still looking at that. We understand that there's a cap at this point. We're well over that on projects that we're looking at for innovative project delivery, so we're still kind of trying to figure that out at this point.
Yeah, I'll weigh in on my perspective as a consultant. So I know and you mentioned there was a lot of discussions that happened back at the inception of this program, actually prior to it, right? And I think what happened is those numbers were really based upon the way the program was set back 10 years ago, right? So $400 million back then was a lot of money. It's just based upon the new program, it's nothing, right? So I don't think that alternative project delivery is never going to be the bulk of the work here. It's never going to happen. That's not the intent. I think that 20% goal is aspirational. Something I think that we'd like to see as an industry as well. Just to help get products out of the street, right? We know we got a transportation fund is getting large, and to Neil's point, where did that number come from? That's what the total is, 20%. So it's probably a starting point for this discussion.
Sure, and I understand that, and the industry understands that we want to get more projects on the street, but I guess our pause is that we haven't done one yet, and we already want to raise the limit. Why not come back next legislative section? But you say that the districts are identifying projects fast enough that you need that cap raised now.
At least initially, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And then I would also say there is, and this will all come out, right, as we work through some projects, but there is very specific care being taken to identify, because of extensive processes, is each project appropriate for design, build, progress, or CMGC? We're not just doing projects to do projects, right? So we do our best to make sure they're fitting into those methods aren't for every project.
No, I'm,
So we're trying to specifically apply it, and it's a way to help get projects out faster. That rule about the Public Contract Fraud Act, really what that says is, you need right away, you need to go out and procure a contractor, right, get things going. So we're exempt from that. So while we're working through some of those intricacies of obtaining even small pieces or slivers of right away that can hold projects up, we can get a contractor involved like in a CMGC and get their opinion on how to best complete construction, right? Come up with a better, faster way to do it. And that's where we think we'll see benefit as well. So I appreciate your comments on that.
and no, don't get me wrong, the construction side of the industry is not against this at all. We just were surprised that when they wanted to raise the cap, they didn't say, because the districts have identified more projects that we want to get out there faster, we were just like, why would they want to do that? And now you've answered that question, so very good.
Yeah, we actually just put together kind of a graph and a chart to help explain some of that, and it passes up that $400 million very fast, especially with the I-290 project. It's a very large project for this start of the program, but CMGC for that project is a great way to do it, because we absolutely need the contractor to tell us how he thinks he's going to build that. If we could put together a perfect set of tunneling plans that identifies the access points, and we're going to drop shafts and all that stuff, and then the contractor can come in and absolutely build it 100% of those plans, we can do that, right? But much better to have their input work together towards that solution, and ultimately what that price would be. So it's just a great candidate project. So
Great, no, good stuff, thank you.
thank you, sir. Please.
So, just to clarify, the 400 million, is that under contract or is that annual expenditures?
That is, so the 400 million, the way it stands right now is 400 million is for any 5-year period during the multi-year program.
85, so it's a running 400 million?
Yeah. Speaking kind of simply, yes, that is.
Okay.
Which, over a 5-year period, I mean, again, 10 years ago, that seemed to be a good number, but
Now, one job consumes 300 or 400.
Right, that's what I was,
So one unique project
Yeah,
is going to continue on.
that's the reason why I was asking my question. It seemed a little bit odd that one job would be 300 million, but you have a 400 million cap, so.
yeah, it's, again, that project was a tough decision to include in the program, but I'll say it again, I really I think that's the case there. So, and then, we saw some other candidate projects there. If you look at the MYP, all the candidate projects right now are identified in there. You add them up, there's quite a bit there. And what we typically see in programs across the country, once we get started, see some successes, and then those programs increase a little bit. Again, there's no intent to make it the bulk of the work. I think 20% is more than enough. Right, of any program, we still intend to deliver most of the programs we design, bid, build. And I would also throw out there that, 3-year process we talk about, it's been a very holistic process of putting this together. Very much taking into account how IDOT does business right now, how the industry does business, and trying to kind of overlay these procurement methods within that same framework. So it's a complicated thing to do. We think we're ready, and we're looking forward to it. So I appreciate your question. Any other questions?
Yeah, how's the innovative program addressing like permitting, expediting permitting, utilities, all these third-party items that usually hold up design bid build, just to help expedite the process?
So, other than railroads, permitting, utilities, and right-of-way, right, that's, other than that, we should be fine. So I think, within there, at the beginning of the program, the first projects that come out, IDOT will probably still hold that risk and that role, just because we think right now they're best equipped to handle it. But I think as the program evolves, we'll start loosening the reins on that. I've worked on projects across the country where, as part of the contractor team, we went out and got it right away. We're under a different set of rules if we're trying to buy property as opposed to what the department can do. So we think there'll be benefits long term. We just had a meeting in District 3 where some of the comments we got back from the design build teams were, where are you at with permitting? And we kind of asked them, do you guys think you can get permitting done quicker than we can for some of these 401, 404, work in the river type stuff? Moving utilities out of the way. So it'll be project specific with regards to that, but at some point we hope to kind of look to transfer that risk, really optimize who is best equipped to handle the risk. Does that answer your question? Or
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought the approach would be at this point, but
Yeah.
as time goes on, that will be addressed. Okay.
We've seen tremendous successes across the country with projects like that. But again, what we don't want to do is transfer too much risk, and we know that maybe, especially in design building, go follow too much risk being transferred to a contractor, but sometimes it doesn't work out as well. So trying to be cautious.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Very good. Was that the question?
I just have a question with regards to more on the design side.
Sure.
As projects are identified, is that going to blur the phase 1/phase 2 process a little bit? Or?
That's a really good question, and yeah, it might. I think, but again, let's talk about aspirational grant. Like right now, we're at the program. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not doing that. So the question is, as we get these projects into the program, will there be a blur between phase 1 and phase 2? And yeah, my answer would be, I think so. I think at the beginning of the program, again, we're going to get that same answer. We want to try and be a little conservative. What we want right now are projects that have already completed the phase 1 or are near completion for candidate projects, so that we don't get intertwined with some of the permitting and other issues. But the way the owner's representative role is written, that can be part of their role. Like we can see where we theoretically, and we're not there yet, bring on someone to do phase 1 and phase 2, because we don't kind of do the whole thing through an innovative project delivery process, but there will be efficiencies there. Right? Even the procurement engineer can help out with some of those things. So another way to expedite projects, right? Another way to get projects on the street is how can we fast track them through the system. So we're working on a candidate project that I won't talk about with District 2 though, where part of what the innovations are probably going to be is how we deliver it. Not necessarily come up with some new type of bridge, but using a different process to try and get it done quicker. It needs to be done quicker. So.
And then I guess with your experience across the country, what makes a project, it's a little bit of a loaded question, what makes a project fail? I mean, obviously the 290 is a really good example because it's tunneling.
Sure.
But when we're talking about a project that's got different elements, you know, a little bit maybe more complex, or, you know, what can we maybe foresee as or anticipate as something that maybe is not going to work down the road?
Okay, so the question is, what makes alternative delivery projects fail, essentially?
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, risk. Let's bring up the risk optimization, right? Part of the process depending on the methodology, is optimizing the risk. Who can best handle it? To your question over here, who can best handle the permitting or the right of way, or an environmental challenge, or methods and means about how to construct a bridge, right? And sometimes when alternative delivery projects fail, that risk wasn't accounted for correctly or transferred correctly. It might have been transferred to a party that isn't equipped to handle it, or we've, as an owner, transferred too much risk, right? Like it's some sort of environmental risk that they're just not, that a contractor or designer are not best suited for.
So the best fit.
It is the best fit. I use the analogy a lot, and hopefully there's some designers, and we talk about roundabouts. Like roundabouts are kind of cool when they're in the right intersection, in the right circumstance, but when they're not, they're colossal failures, right? So slotting projects and taking our time and care to identify the risks within the project, how we would optimize them, and then whether or not these procurement methodologies would help is a huge part of the process. And really what's been going on for the last 3 years, we're just getting the projects, right? We've taken great care into developing a set of tools for the department to use to try and vet those things appropriately. So we're trying our best not to get in those situations. Good news is, well, bad news is, bad news is IDOT, 47 states to adopt this, right? We're a little bit behind, but the good news is we've had 47 other states make mistakes, and we've learned from them, and we've used those best practices to try and avoid the pitfalls. Thank you for that question. Any other questions? How are we doing on time, guys? I know we got another.
One more and then,
Maybe one more question after this?
or not, that was it.
Good time. All right, on with the next presentation, Neil.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And lastly, here's here's our website address if you want to take a snapshot. And then we also have a general email address as well. All right, off-system structures bundling program. So this is a new program for us. The past few years, we have initiated a state program that's very similar, looking at all the state-owned structures throughout the state and creating bundles, scenarios to deliver those projects. We took it a step further as of recently to look at local structures. So that includes primarily counties or townships or municipality-owned or managed structures. And so this is this program that we are looking at the feasibility and the planning for this, and just give you a little background to that. So what is bridge bundling? Bridge bundling allows multiple structures to go through phases 1, 2, and 3 engineering and construction as a efficiencies in designing and constructing multiple structures at one time. Bridge bundling takes advantage of economies of scale by applying labor and materials to the project in a more efficient manner compared to delivery of each project or bridge structure project individually. What we didn't do on the previous presentation is give you a snapshot of the difference between these delivery methods. Up here, and this was presented at one of our presentations last year at this conference. You all know of our traditional process. We hire a designer, they do the design, we then advertise for a constructor to build the project. So there's two separate contracts. The project themselves, they go through a very linear process. Where you get into CMGC or more of the alternative contracting, CMGC, you have a similar scenario where you're hiring or advertising for a designer and a contractor. The contractor is included early into the design aspects when the designer is designing things. So it allows that flexibility to have the contractor involved with the design. Again, it's two separate contracts. As you move farther to the right, design build is a little bit different. You're hiring one entity to do the design and the construction. We do have what we did in the previous presentation explained about the owner's representative. So they assist with either helping us develop the procurement documents. They're basically our advisors, not only with the procurement, but they can be along with as we progress into the actual design and construction as well. So those are, the owner's rep is the IDOT's advisors. So we're going from, and you can see from the bottom, we're going from traditional delivery to more innovative delivery aspects. Alternative contracting. Throughout the U.S., various states have entertained bundling for structures. As you can see up here, they are listed. Some have concentrated on just solely state. There's other states that have looked at state and local together. So we're at a point now where we're looking at both. And so we're one of those few. I think there's only 5 states that have done that. So exciting for the state and more to come. What are the goals with our program? A lot of these are with our state program. reiterating here on the local aspect, improve safety for the traveling public, hopefully expedite delivery of structures and getting those constructed. Improve connectivity of the transportation network, improve condition of the overall bridge inventory. There's a lot of structures out there. And ensure financial stewardship of public funds through optimal delivery of bundled structures. And as we're here at the conference, create new opportunities and work experiences for our disadvantaged business enterprise community. A little bit about the state program. We started our analysis in 2022. We had a lot of structures. The state owns roughly around 8,000 structures. We narrowed it down to, we applied a lot of categories to narrow suitable structures that could be created into bundles. There was various categories. I think we were up to, it was around 10 or 15 or so categories to minimize what would be an ideal situation to create those bundles. A lot of time and effort went into that. Lo and behold, we got down to at least this initial set of structures down to 57 structures, and we packaged those into 14 separate different bundles amongst our various districts. Those districts are 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8, and 9. 8 and 9. The bundles are currently in phase 1 and 2 engineering. Those were advertised on the previous PTBs. Bundles are scheduled for construction starting in 2026. And then that last bullet I already mentioned. We're one of the few looking at state and local. So as we talk with these various agencies at the county level, townships and municipalities, we are in a position to deliver these bundles. So we're not only analyzing it, but we are looking to figure out how those bundles will pan out. Some of the things that we're looking at is a primary one is close proximity. Are these various structures located in, are they suitable so that they're, one is right down the street from the other and better for the contractors building this. One thing to note, this is going to be 100% federally funded. This is through the IIJA. Some of the requirements through IIJA for this opportunity is it can be structures that are greater than 20 feet long. It spans an obstruction or depression such as a highway, waterway, or railway, and is part of the National Bridge Inventory. One thing I want to point out is it's not going to be all the local structures per se. We are pinpointing which ones will fit into this program. So we're doing a lot of analysis at this time with what the counties have looked at the information on these structures, and we're going to be analyzing that information and creating bundles. We're working very closely with our Bureau of Local Roads and Streets for this, and we're also working with our Office of Business and Workforce Diversity as well. Funding is available to allow significant additional structures to be delivered through this program. The increased IIJA funding is making this substantial funding increase possible. The benefits to it is complete more projects in less time and hopefully lower costs, because you're doing more at one time, leveraging increased funding to deliver more projects and create new innovative opportunities for our DBE community. So as I said, we've initiated, we collected a lot of information from the agencies. We are going to be screening a lot of that information. We're currently doing that and gathering some, we've done the data capturing in a sense. So we asked these counties to provide a lot of information. And, you know, why are they including this? You know, a lot of these counties have a lot of structures, so what's making them think about why they want to include this into this program? Big item is what is the condition of the structures. That is one of the main categories. So given the rating on the structure itself is a big indicator to put this into the program. And so this is where we're at. We're going to be soon kicking off how are we with all that information creating bundle scenarios. We'll eventually touch base with those agencies and verify that they're okay with these bundles. Will be the next step. And eventually to include into the program. This is similar to the last slide. As you can see, counties and locals. Focus areas determine the key factors for successful bundling program by soliciting perspectives from the DBE community. Evaluate challenges currently being faced by DBEs. We had a few webinars recently, and those are up currently on our website. We do webinars with general industry as well as the DBE industry. And so you can take a look at those. There's recordings associated with what we did on those as well that you can look at. Overall, connect early, often with DBE regarding the potential program. More opportunities for work are going to be out there. And project scoring and targeted DBE participation goals for each of these projects that we would put out. Again, this is our information on the website and our general email. But like I said, we have been coordinating with our Office of Business and Workforce Diversity. What we've heard on some of the webinars and suggestions that we did is how can I be included in this? And you know, the Office of Business and Workforce Diversity, they offer those programs to how you can get certified, or if you need to get pre-qualified for such things. So I would definitely touch base with that office. They are the experts, not us, but we are heavily coordinated with them on this. So that is the last slide. Any questions?
There's an echo.
Neil, are those projects being delivered traditional design bid build? Is that what I heard? Or do we know that?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
So we are going to be analyzing, we have at our disposal all these delivery methods, right?
Okay.
How it pans out is yet to be determined.
So I think we've seen them done both ways quite successfully, so that's a completely new program.
And it may end up, we don't know at this point, but it may end up where we do several different delivery methods. We just don't know yet at this time.
So Similarly, you mentioned bundling projects, or you mentioned phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Will those still be kind of selected separately? I guess depending on the procurement methodology, I understand that. But when you mentioned bundling, you kind of said bundling the phases and bundling the bridges. It's really meant to be bridge bundling, right? That's kind of the question.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's for smaller projects, right?
It could be,
Okay.
yes. We'll see. We don't know what those bundles are just yet. Again, we've collected the data from the counties. We're going to be analyzing it and figuring out what those bundles will end up being. So, Federal Highway's term of bundling is 2 or more structures. So it could be more, it could be, right in that handful of structures. We just don't know at this time.
These bridges has to be in the same locations, or it could be
That's the ideal scenario, to have close proximity. That's going to be easier for the contractor to build these and face their construction activities, right? So, we've heard from other state DOTs that have done this already, and that's one of the big kickers. Yeah. You're looking, with these delivery methods, you're looking for efficiency, right?
When do we think we might see projects, what roughly you're going to anticipate projects coming out?
Well, we have to get our analysis done and figured out pretty quickly, because the time limit on IIJA is running out fast, so that's
Faster
why
every day.
we're in high gear to try to get this wrapped around quickly.
Thank you.
Do you have a program limit for this program, similar to on your other program, the 400 million, or is this does it have a no cap?
The fund,
unlimited?
this is going to be 100% funded by the feds.
100% funded by, and is there any cap to that?
No,
No?
I don't think so.
You said there's 15 different packages. Do you know which package is in District 8 and 9, or how many different, or are they just evenly spread out through all the districts, or the ones that you said?
Yeah, it's spread out throughout the entire state, all the districts and the counties within those districts. So yeah, there's a lot of structures, but we will have to narrow it down. Yes.
What's the typical type of bridge structure you're looking at? Or you might have answered that already, I'm not sure what the bridge types would be.
When we went out to touch base with the counties, we said, no holds bar on that, given, the ultimate thing is the bridge condition. So they needed to look at what rating the bridges are at. So that's, you want to take care of the worst ones first, right? In a sense. But yeah, the length, we had a category, I believe it was, I think we were, not looking at major long structures, but, all the other ones, in a sense. There was a lot. Yeah.
So what dictates the different methodologies as far as delivery? Is it going to be money, the challenges in the project? What dictates delivery target? Is it regular rehab bridges? They're going to be in the design build? Is it going to be a new bridge altogether?
Yeah, so
What
we
dictates?
we opened it up to complete replacements to major renovation. We want to have those type of structures into this program. You know, if it's regular maintenance, not necessarily. We don't want structures like that. This, the intention, the feds, they want to see, you know, good improvements to the structures that need it.
We are doing the design build actually the doorway, and we were about 60% of the slope delivery, and then they took us back to conceptual to do design build. And then we did design build and finished with the controller. We both stick with them. As of last week, they brought it back. We are doing again design build as of last week.
Okay.
So the state design build and the state now, we're going back to design.
We're a different agency.
We spend so much time and all of a sudden we're taking back to design build process.
That's it.
Anybody else?
Another question, I think, one thing with bridge is obviously there's efficiency associated with that, that's why that approach is being implemented. Has the agency or the federal government ever thought about bundling, like, intersection improvements, like within a county or sections of the state, and giving that to a designer to do, and keep that efficiency within those intersection improvements, or maybe even an interchange, but to keep it small, but maybe look at those sorts of elements, not just bridges. Is that thought?
We haven't looked at anything, our bureau hasn't looked at anything like that. but-
ADA. The ADA project.
Oh, ADA, yeah.
Okay.
But other, you know, intersections in general, you know, we were, other than the ADA
Yeah.
in District
But,
1.
yeah, you know where I'm getting at, right? Like,
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know what, from a Fed perspective, I'm not sure.
All right, thanks.
Well, thank you all, greatly appreciate it.